Yeah, my hair's a mess. I just got out of the shower and got dressed today. Today's a good day. It's an average day. And I was thinking about it the other night. I was watching some movies and then I thought about it, and I decided to do a list of my top 10 Peter Jackson films. Now, a lot of people will disagree with my list. I know that. It's my opinion. But here are the ones that I think are possibly his best or well known. And and some of them I like. There's a few that I'm not fond of. But, yeah, I'll just go ahead start into my list. At the 10th spot, coming in very last, is King Kong. Now, I know some of you may be like, how can you have King Kong as last? Well, here's why. It's not that great of a movie. It's actually rather boring. King Kong, I know, it does have its action-packed moments, but King Kong doesn't show up till halfway through the movie. And Peter Jackson does a well job of the animation and everything, but it still was rather boring. And for 2005, it did have some impressive effects, but at the same time, looking back, they are not as great. Anyways, that's number 10. Number 9, Heavenly Creatures. I really enjoyed this movie. It's like a Bridge to Terabithia before Bridge to Terabithia, but not. It's more and less. I don't know how to describe it. It's very trippy and wonderful visuals. Graphic effects for the 90s are actually rather impressive. It does do a lot to deal with imagination, and I love the idea of kids like movies about that. Just check it out. It's one of his older ones. 8. D9. Now, I have this one very low on the list because I'm not a huge fan of this movie. I mean, it's a good movie, don't get me wrong, but it's not a great movie. It's not. Everyone hails it as this, oh, this is a revolutionary movie, and it's not. I was actually rather bored with it most of the way through. For the most part, when everyone told me about this movie, I was like, oh, this sounds awesome. I'm going to check it out. It has aliens, it has giant robots. Not as huge robots, but, guns and explosions, and but it's rather actually tame and dull. You know, yeah, it's kind of interesting, and yeah, it's all about xenophobia, but really, it's not anything new. Everyone hails it as this original work, but it's just an amalgamation of different styles. While I like some aspects of it, it's never going to be a movie that I'm going to go to this one first. It it's all right. Number 7, Meet the Feebles. Now this, if you grew up watching Sesame Street and or Muppets, this is a movie you can enjoy. It's so funny, it's so ridiculous and over the top. It deals with a lot of issues. It's You just have to watch it. It's my friend Matt showed me this movie and I was like, this is hilarious. It's really dark too for a movie that's a joke, like it's a parody of kids show. Just check it out. Number 6, The Frighteners. This movie is epic and strange. Now I know there's not a very big fan base of it, but it's a good movie. It's one of his earlier ones. It's about ghosts, and they even got the sergeant dude from oh, Full Metal Jacket, and he's a ghost, and he's still a jerk. It's funny. Just it's a good movie. Bad Taste. This movie. This is like one of the classic ones. I think this was a 1987 film, so it's just over the top hilarity and just it has these aliens that are turning people into hamburgers. It's it's so over the top and wonderful. Just check it out. Now, this next one, I have three of them. Well, anyways, I have a certain order, so I'm doing these as individual movies. The Two Towers is the fourth place. Now, if you're wondering why I didn't do all of Lord together, I thought it'd be too hard to describe. The reason I have Two Towers in the fourth place is, of the Lord of the Rings, I think it is the weakest movie for a few reasons. Now, if you watch the extended edition, there is a lot more, but when you watched it for the first time, I didn't get to see the extended version. And the biggest part that bothered me was they don't explain what happens to Saruman. And in the extended version, they do have a scene where he does die in a pretty epic way. But before that, when you first saw it, you don't see that. And then it never really explains what happens. And just, it is very vast, and you do get to see a lot more action. But I think of the three, it's the weakest. It's still an amazing movie, and what they did for the time was epic and grand. Now the next one for third is Return of the King, and again, like I said, I think it's not the strongest of the three Lord of the Rings, but it is definitely very up there. It's over the top. It's wonderful. There is so much going on in this movie, and you get to watch this huge battle like nothing you've ever seen. The epic scale of this one, I think, is possibly what makes it the best. It's so huge, and God, it's a good movie. Number 2 is The Fellowship. I think of the three Lord of the Rings movies, this is the one that is the best. For a few reasons. One, it sets up the characters, but it still allows, it's a long enough movie that it sets up the characters, but allows for character development. You do get to see this story unfold. And this, when he announced that he was going to make this movie, people were outraged or didn't believe him. This movie, like the book series, is so grand and epic. They thought no one could ever translate it over into film. No one could get everything right. And he managed to put enough of the books, stay truthful to the books, while having his own unique style about it. And that is what makes this movie so impressive. You get to actually see Frodo go through a transformation from this whining, sniveling wimp into an actual decent character. Well, I shouldn't say whining. He's not, like, the strongest character at the beginning, but he definitely seems a lot stronger than you thought at the end. And that's one of the things that astounded me about this movie. And you have all these characters to deal with, and yet you still manage time to develop them. Like Merry, Pippin, Sam, Gandalf, all of them. You get this feeling for this world. It's vast, it's huge. Now, for those of you who are wondering, no, I did not put the Hobbit series on this because I have not seen all of them, and that's one of the things. And I have not seen all of them, and I don't want to include them. When I see them, I might change my mind. I have seen the half of the first one before the DVD player shorted out, but that I can't put this on. And for all of you who think that Lord of the Rings should be number 1, there is one movie that I actually like by Peter Jackson that I love more than Lord of the Rings. Though I do have to say, I absolutely love Lord of the Rings. But I think my number 1 movie that's a Peter Jackson film is Brain Dead or The Dead Alive. They're the same movie, they just have alternate names. Now this movie is just insane. Like, its effects aren't great, its story isn't that well written, but it's so funny and just over the top 90s crap. It's when I fell in love with this movie because it has everything you could want. Zombies, monsters, just if you are a gore fan, this is a movie for you. It's ridiculous, it's cheesy, it's funny. You just have to watch it. If you disagree with my list, tell me why. Leave your what you think your list would be in the comments. Tell me what movies that you would have liked to see on here. I know that there are movies by Peter Jackson that are decent, but these are the ones that are my favorites. Um, check out our so this is J Road with License Plate Jacker Radio signing off.